Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Jillian, a geologist from Nairobi, and I just want to take you on a journey of the gold mining process in Kenya. I'm here about just appreciating the vast natural resources we have and how best we can exploit all these natural resources while being very thoughtful of the environment and the community that live around these resources. So we are going to break down the 5 key stages of gold mining, and I'm going to try and give you an overview of how the value chain rather looks like. So here we usually start with the licensing and permits. Before even a single shovel hits the ground, miners must navigate the Kenya's legal framework. The Mining Act of 2016 requires permits for all operations, whether it is large scale or artisanal. In Migori specifically, artisanal miners apply for small scale licenses, and these permits are usually critical to ensuring safety, environmental care, and the fair revenue sharing of the profits from these mines. Then after that, we usually proceed to the exploration. That's where geologists like me can come in to study the soil color, the riverbeds, and pinpoint where these gold deposits are. But yeah, there's usually like a catch in this because we usually have a false gold, which is usually pyrite, and sometimes it can even trick like seasoned miners. So it is very good to like rely on the generational knowledge and also be having things like digging trial pits over river banks and things like that, and also making sure your samples are tested by at the ministry or by any lab that is close or convenient to you, just to make sure you're getting the real deal and not the false gold. Now we do proceed to the development and production. So once the gold is located and verified, miners will dig even if it's sometimes up to 50 feet deep with nothing but just, their local tools. But if you look at how the large miners do it, they are able to use explosives and trucks for this process because it's very, 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 very physically intensive. So here is where there are usually so many risks for the miners. Here is where we usually have the collapses, the flooding, and the mercury. And at the same time, you have to consider this is back-breaking work, but at the same time, it's their only source of income. So later on, we are going to delve much into the development and production, but let's proceed. So after that, we usually have the processing, which is the crushed ore is processed using maybe age-old techniques that have been passed off over time. So now we are trying to see if we can have better, safer ways to do them. So here you see some miners pan gold like the way the ancestors used to do, and other use loose boxes. But again, so this video is a perfect example of how a sluice worker looks like. It can be done standing on a river or on a stream, or where there is an availability of large water bodies. So it starts by the lady putting down the tap. This is to allow the water not to soak in, because at the end of the day, after this, they're going to put, like, even if it's like a sack on top, to be able to trap all the gold. Yeah. Here, as you can see, this is a makeshift apparatus. As you can see the man in the picture. So the process involves mixing the gold ore powder into like a perforated pan, but with a blanket on top of it, and then you pour water through these apparatus. The gold begins to separate. Afterwards, you take the blanket is removed and rinsed into like a large container where the mud concentrate carrying the trapped gold is like collected. So the final step is to use the mercury and the amalgam to extract a pure form of gold, which we're going to see later on in this video, which is now solid moving on forward. And not only is this process, it allows this young man to risk or expose himself to unhealthy amounts of mercury, stones, and other small debris that can also cut him and expose him to diseases. As a result, also pair of staying in the water for the entire day. This work not only strengthens the body, but it's the only way he can again support his family. Then lastly, after the processing has been done, we really have to discuss a topic which we rarely do, which is the land reclamation. Mining, if we're being honest, does scare the land, but rehabilitation can heal it. Responsible mines backfill. If you're a responsible miner, should be able to backfill the pits and replant vegetation. And this step in our local society is very much overlooked, but it is kind of vital for future farming and water quality. The challenge here is just trying to balance livelihoods and sustainability. We said we were going to go back and look at development, production, and processing much more deeply. So here is how it usually starts with that timbering process, which is usually done to extend mining shafts so that the mine workers can continue to extract the ore without the risk of the passageway collapsing. So first of all, trees are first bought, then cut into smaller logs before taken down towards the mine for timbering. At this point, the pieces are measured to size and shipped with various metallic tools before beginning the actual construction. We have muddy soil and water must be removed from the mining shafts to prevent the timber damage and the wall collapse, which can be very heavy work. This process usually requires very meticulous cooperation of skilled men, with different individuals shaping the wood, clearing the shaft with a winch, and at least 2 men placing the timber. Then we go to the shaft worker. So a typical day involves bringing these work tools down with him on a ladder into the mine shaft to dig for gold ore. Underground, the goal is to look for rock with a white color known as Reef, which can be removed with either a chisel or a drill. Underground, the goal is to look for a black rock called Tope. So this Tope is usually removed in order to access the reef, which can be done using a compressor to blast the rock away. This can create dust and which is very harmful to the lungs, and in severe cases, coughing and the respiratory issues. And it requires usually the shaft workers to go for hospital treatment. Then we have the crusher. The crusher is placing the ore to a large flat piece of stone. It's usually to smash it. It's smashed with a hammer until the ore is small enough to be taken into the ball mill for crushing. In addition to that, the is small enough to be washed. And then product is to get
now I'll give it back as a report, and then when they were the numbers, and then we make a list of what people need. Then I will come back again after this video and bring you guys to the in advance near local water.
And thanks again to all these amazing So let's come together, hold their hands, collaborate where necessary, partner where necessary. Let's improve this sector, change the narrative, grow this sector, and allow this sector to be able to nourish the economy. And as we do it again, let's be more thoughtful to the environment and the communities that live around them. They need us as much as we need them. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.